Hello, today in chemistry, let's talk about elements, compounds and mixtures. Just know it. In this video, just know it, what they are. Can you differentiate? You've been hearing of element, compound, mixture, just know the differences. Now, I'm going to start with this example. I'll start with a very short story. So, we have a family of 4. Mr. Christian, Mrs. Shizoba, who gave birth to 2 children, Chukwebuka and Dada. Now, these 2 children are in the same class. They are in JS1 class. If you go to their class, you will see students wearing school uniform. They look united and they are always in harmony. That's what makes them JS1 class. That's what makes them a class. There are other students from different families who come together in that school, register their children in that same class, and some of them does not even have siblings in the class. Now, going back to elements, compound and mixtures, I'm going to tell you what they are, and then you tell me from our example which of them is an element, which of them is a compound, and which of them is a mixture. Now let's look at this. An element is a substance made up of only one type of atom. Only one type of atom. Remember in our story that it is Mr. Christian and Mrs. Shizoba that gave birth to 2 children. That makes them a family bounded by blood. That does not mean that when Mrs. Shizoba wants to die, she will now die with her whole family. No, because they are individuals that have their own lives to live. In this example, who is an element then? Mrs. Shizoba is an element, Chukwebuka is an element, Ada is an element, and Mr. Christian is an element. Now, that is what makes them an individual. An element is made up of only one type of atom, and they cannot be further divided to form a new substance. A compound is a substance formed when 2 or more elements are chemically combined in a fixed ratio. Now remember that they are family bounded by blood. 2 or more elements. We have 2 or more individuals which come together, and now they are bounded by blood to form a compound. That is the example of that family of 4. That is what a compound is made up of. It's made up of 2 or more what? Elements chemically bounded together. Now, a mixture is a combination of 2 or more substances that are physically mixed and not chemically bounded. Remember that in a class, there are students from other families that came together to form that JS1 class. Now, these students, they are not chemically bounded. They are not bounded by blood. That is what makes them what? Mixtures. That's what makes them mixtures. They are not compound. The families are involved in that class are the compound. Now, even the students in the school as a whole, that is what makes them mixtures. Example of these mixtures we have when you mix sand and water, that is a mixture. The air that you breathe in, that is a mixture, because it contains a lot of gases that are not chemically bounded. It contains nitrogen, it contains oxygen, it contains carbon dioxide, a lot of gases, even the poisonous gases. It contains carbon monoxide. That's when there is when your air is polluted by carbon monoxide. Now let's look at examples of a compound. Now you give me an example of a compound. We have H2O, water. Water is a compound. Another example of a compound, we have we have CO2, carbon dioxide, we have sodium chloride, we have sodium hydroxide, and so on and so forth. An example of elements, we have hydrogen. Which other ones do you know? Name them. Oxygen. We have which other one? Name them. Chlorine. Even gold, silver, iron. These are metals. In our next class, we'll be talking about these metals. Let's look very well at the examples of these elements, compounds and mixtures. I'm going to write down elements, I'm going to write down compounds, and I'm going to write down these mixtures. These mixtures can be easily separated using different separation techniques. They can be easily separated. For example, when we mix sand and water, we can separate them by filtration. Let's look at this quick one. We have different examples of elements, compounds and mixtures. I want you to pause this video and classify these elements, compound and mixture in their respective groups. To know if truly understood the differences between these elements, compound, and mixtures, pause the video and separate them into elements, compound, and mixtures. I believe that you must have done that by now. So let's get straight to the point and separate these examples. Before you can actually separate some things, you can actually differentiate between these elements, compound, and mixtures, most especially compounds and mixtures. You cannot actually separate what you don't know. You cannot differentiate what you don't know. So you need to know them, because if these compounds are not given in their chemical name, you might truly actually not even know that it's a compound, because you don't even know what it is. But actually, elements, you can easily fish out elements because they are always in their simplest form. But what about compound? They can be named another things. You understand that now? Now let's take a look at this. The number one, we have milk. Is milk an element, a compound, or a mixture? We all know that milk is not an element. Yes, milk is not an element. So it's either a compound or a mixture. But we need to know what milk is being made up of. That's how we know if this milk is a compound or a mixture. Milk contains water. Milk contains protein. Milk contains sugar. Now, these things joined together is no longer a compound, because water itself is a compound, H2O. Sugar is a... Okay, I will not say it because I read something. Sugar is a compound, and also protein is a compound. So they are not chemically bounded together. So with this explanation of mine, milk is a what? Milk is a mixture and not a compound or an element. The second one we have here is glucose. What is glucose? Yes, glucose is a type of sugar. But we all know that glucose is made up of what? Glucose is made up of what? Glucose is made up of what? C6H12O6. That makes it a compound. Carbon, hydrogen, and what? Oxygen. That makes glucose a what? A compound and not a mixture. I believe you understand. So glucose is a what? Compound. Then let's look at, we have oxygen, O2. This one, oxygen is 2. Is it an element or a compound? Because you know, obviously it's not a mixture. Is it an element or a compound? Because remember we say compound is made up of only one type of compound is made up of only one type of atom, and it cannot be further be separated to form a new substance. So is this a compound? Some of you say it's a compound because it's 2 oxygen, but some of you say it's an element because it's oxygen. Which of you is correct? Is an element because the O2 is made up of what? Oxygen. Even when you differentiate this, when you try to split this, you still get what? Oxygen. There is no new substance formed. Do you understand that now? So I hope we are not confused. Then the next one we have is what? Calcium. Is calcium an element, a compound, or a mixture? Let's see. It's an element. The next one we have what? Is concrete. Concrete, is it an element, compound, or mixture? You know concrete now. What's concrete made of? You cannot answer if you don't know what it is. So what is concrete made of? Concrete is made of water, gravel, cement. That makes concrete what? A mixture. Is remaining one, and that one is ammonia. Ammonia, is it a compound, an element, or a mixture? First of all, you know what's ammonia made of? Ammonia is what? Ammonia is made up of nitrogen and hydrogen. That makes ammonia a compound. Now I would like you to comment below your score. Comment below your score. And if you're further confused, or if you have a question, you can type your question in the comment section, or you can contact me in any of the following pages. You can have my email, my Instagram, my TikTok, and my Facebook. Thank you for watching this video to the end.